and use them offline, and some general internet searches as well. So coal gas works. Gasification is producing gas from coal. And depending on the geographic area where these plants were, they might be called coal gas, synth gas, town gas, or manufactured gas. It's all the same thing. And it was used to fuel streetlights, provide homes with piped gas for heating and cooking, and also to generate electricity. The process, you heat coal in an oxygen-free environment, and the gas is emitted as the coal gets hotter. It's then captured, cleaned, and stored on site in telescoping tanks called gas holders or gasometers. And here's a little pictorial view of how it goes along. By the mid-1800s, most US cities and towns with 10,000 or more people had a coal gas plant. And late in the 1800s, a new process was developed, making it possible to build plants less expensively, which led to many smaller towns having their own plants. So from a modeler's point of view, if this is something you might be interested with, it's very scalable. And you could adapt it for whatever size your layout is. Basic raw materials and byproducts for a gas plant: inbound, coal, and limestone for the purification process. Outbound, coke, coal tar, and ammonia. And with the commercial development of natural gas after World War II, manufactured gas fell out of favor. It only has half the heating value of natural gas, and there are now cost-effective ways of transporting natural gas via pipelines. And this meant that through the 1950s, these gas works closed in large numbers. In North Adams, Massachusetts, which is one of the locales on my layout, the North Adams Gas, Light, and Electric Company operated from 1885 until being merged into the Northern Berkshire Electric Company in 1953. Now on the left, you see the red circle, a little bit top left of center. This is where North Adams is. We're in the upper northwest corner of the state of Massachusetts. To the west is Albany, Pittsfield to the south, and way to the east is Boston. On the right is a copy of one of those Sanborn fire insurance maps from 1908. Down in the lower, the lines are the Boston and Maine Railroad and the line going into the plant. You have various buildings here, and there are 3 gasimeters, or gasometers, however you pronounce them. So my layout is kind of a historical fiction, and the North Adams Gas, Light, Electric Company still exists into the early 1960s. Another view down the line here, the 2 tracks on the left with the coal hoppers, those are the exchange tracks between the plant and the Boston and Maine. Then you have the rest of the tracks there are either the yard of the Boston and Maine and North Adams or the main line coming through. Now my layout is set up so that modules from club members or myself can plug into the end of the layout, hence the quick change to the all green here. That's a separate module connected onto the layout. Now the next picture will be from underneath the steps here, not a usual view for people, but it gives you a view of the layout of the gas plant. So here we are looking from under the steps. The gasometer is on the right. These 3 tracks are where the loaded coal cars will come in. It's the trestle for unloading and a tail track. In the back is another industry in North Adams on the layout. So during each operating session, inbound, it's an 18-unit car coal train that comes in, about 4 to 6 empty coal hoppers, empty tank cars, 1 to 2 for coal tar and 1 for ammonia. And occasionally a covered hopper comes through with limestone. Outbound, the empty coal hoppers, 4 to 6 coal hoppers are now loaded with coke, 1 to 2 tank cars of coal tar, and a tank car of ammonia, and occasionally that empty covered hopper. My layout is operated with car cards and waybills. So there's one box for the plant cars and the other box for the exchange track where cars are dropped and picked up. And so after Dave Hussman's presentation about hazmat a few months back, what I did was I placarded the car cards that carry hazmats. And when those cars are loaded, the rules for hazardous materials apply. And so at a number of places on the layout, I have a little job guide here that tells people how to place those cars in trains based on the rules from the early 1960s. The plant has its own switcher, little Plymouth, and there's a simulated scale, and all of the loaded hoppers are stopped briefly on the scale to simulate weighing. Coke is loaded into the hoppers, and the outbound coke is also weighed. Tank cars are switched on the loading platform tracks. In this case, I have 2 empties ahead of the switcher. The 3 loads will be switched out and the 2 empties spotted. In my case, my plant has a contract with Koppers, so there's always coal tar going out in Koppers coal tar tank cars. Boston and Maine is the common carrier here, and the local NA4 job sets out and retrieves cars at the plant. Coal cars are pulled 2 at a time and moved up for unloading. Might not be totally prototypical with that little switcher, but I don't feel like doing 18 runs up the ramp. And coal is discharged from the trestle. For the coke and the coal, I've standardized on AccuRail removable loads just because it works so well. They're light and they move easily with the magnet. As the coal is dumped, the plant switcher moves the empty cars out to those exchange tracks. And later on, Boston and Maine comes through, grabs all those empties, and places them in the yard. And next up, as part of the operations, there's a New Haven unit coal train that snakes its way across the layout and makes its way up to North Adams. At North Adams, the power will cut away and tie on to the empties. And then the local will shove the coal cars into those exchange tracks at the plant. When that's done, they spot the New Haven's caboose on the main, and they'll get in the clear. Then the New Haven doubles up their train, ties onto the caboose, and heads out of town. And here they are, full dynamics, bottom of the hill, coming into Boston Corners. And that's coal gasification. Like I said, there were a lot of these plants that cropped up around the country, and it's easy to size it and scale it to fit on your layout. Thank you. Questions?
All right. Well, thanks, Dan. Yeah, there's a few questions here. Let me run back through the chat. Burster asks, question, were inbound coal cars typically weighed at a shipper like this? I had the impression that was done at the mine.
Possibly. I don't know a whole lot about coal loading and coal transport. I just added that in as a feature for operations.
Got it. Somebody says, I like the BL2.
Someone put sound in it before I bought it. It's got an early Soundtracks DSD decoder.
Let's see. Maybe John from Phil Edholm was a good talk. Maybe John can edit with some of the video clips from the layouts that will be featured into a cool video. I'm not sure if that must have been a miss.
The PCR.
Yeah, I think that was the wrong one. From Ray Turner, what is coal tar used for?
Coal tar. Off the top of my head, I do not recall. I'll be honest. There's a lot of internet resources out there that have that information, and I'm sorry I don't have the details on that.
Okay. Steve Hemmel asks, what kind of industries would the tank cars go to?
The tank cars. Let me think offhand where I send the ammonia. Give me a minute here.
The ammonia would be it could be an agriculture.
Could be agriculture. Yep. And the coal tar, on my layout, I send it to a Koppers coal tar facility for inbound coal tar. The coke, I know you're asking about the tank cars, I think, but the coke generally for coal gasification plants, the coke was not good enough for steel. I decided mine is, and I sent it to Bethlehem Steel. Coke could be burned as well, not quite as good as coal, but it could be burned. There's sometimes the coke would be sold locally similar to coal.
Got it. Chuck asks, have you added any weight to your empty hoppers to bring their weight up to NMRA recommended minimums?
Yes. Without doing that, derailments can be frequent.
Yeah,
so yeah, I did that with my whole fleet. I have all metal wheels, and then I brought the weight up so that the cars will stay on the track better.
Yeah, back when I was much younger, I fought tooth and nail about the cost of metal wheels, but they're so worth it.
Yes.
They do actually have a significant amount of weight too. It's
they do.
Surprising, but
now with the cars and doing emptying loads, some of them when I bought them, they had some weights in the bays, but otherwise, I've used like BBs and shot and stuff like that, and super glued them underneath. So it can be challenging to hide the weight and get it up to weight.
Yeah, the BBs work nicely. I've seen that quite a few places, especially when you get into those little Orgenis. Those are like, at least with the old roundhouse ones, the underbody was actually made of metal.
There you go.
The original ones, the blue box roundhouse cars. So, all right, with the coke mostly steel plants, we already asked that. Let's see, what did North Adams do with the leftover? We already talked about that. Chicago had 2 plants. Which 12-inch to the foot railroad do you work with?
I'm a volunteer on the Berkshire Scenic Railway Museum.
Got it. Somebody suggests, I think one of the uses of coal tar was in the making of cosmetics.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Coal tar epoxy was used at one time to coat steel water mains. Well, that's
lots of opportunities.
Yep. Let's see. Was your gas tank modified from the Walters kit?
No, I think it actually was a Faller kit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Coal tar used for nylon, benzene, chemical feedstock. Coal tar is similar to the bottom fraction of petroleum refining. Is also used as a food and makeup coloring. Fertilizer and cleaning products for the ammonia. Let's see, lots of people know about coal tar apparently. So I'm not going to read all of these here. Did your removable loads come made with metal in them, or did you add magnets or like a plate or something to pull those out?
These are the AccuRail coal loads, and they have 2 pieces of metal that fit into spots underneath. They're plastic coal loads. They come with 2 little large BBs that fit into 2 sockets underneath, and then you take the magnet, they come right out. So they're lightweight, but they're still magnetized.
Yep. When I ran on Milt Spanton's his DM and IR layout up in Minnesota, he had 3 different ore loads, and each one he had like the sort of magnet stick you had to pull those out. So receivers of coal might want to weigh inbound hoppers to verify losses from transport having been weighed at origin. How much difference? I don't know if he's asking or if it's more a statement there to say, did they get what they were expecting?
Did they get what they paid for? Yeah.
I mean, I know now most of the unit, like the unit coal trains, I think they spray them with almost like an adhesive to keep the dust and all that down. I would assume that helps keep it in the cars too. But let's see. Does your coal train come in more than once during an operating session?
Nope, just comes up once. And like you said before, there's a story. And way back in the early 20th century, the B&M and the New Haven were under joint control. So in my world, there's a little piece of the New York Central that connects the two, where back then they received trackage rights. And so to this day, my layout has overhead trackage rights on a piece of the Central. And that's where the New Haven train comes up and down.
Got it. Let's see. My experience with coal versus coke as a fuel in a live steel loco. Coke has much less odor and is much more pleasant to sit behind on the loco tender. So Jeff asking why the inbound empty hoppers? Why not just use emptied inbound coal hoppers for outbound coke?
They come and go from different places. My coke comes from goes to New York Central and B&O and C&O by way of the New Haven, and then the New Haven coal train. It's cars that are coming out of like Northeast Pennsylvania, where you have LNE and O&W and the like. So it's, yeah, they come in one way and they go back the way they came.
At the time, would it have been the same type of car?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still the short 2-bay hoppers.
Okay, because growing up around Chicago, I think the last time I was there, I saw a string of CSX hoppers that were like the Coke Express, and they were especially tall, like they bolted on an extra layer of metal to make them taller. I'd have to see if I could find a photo. Actually, not CSX, I think it was Norfolk Southern, but let me see. Yeah, here we go. So, and again, it's just a, it's just a hopper. It's just particularly tall.
Gotcha. Yep.
And they're very clearly labeled Coke Express. So, but those were kind of unusual. Obviously, they've added to the added to the car. Maybe yeah. Coke is, I don't know if Coke is lighter than coal.
I think one of the comments I saw pop up was that Coke is lighter. So yeah.
Okay, so they can cram more into it. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Coke is a lot lighter than coal. So, okay. Well, I think that's that seems to be all the questions. Oh, hold on. Tom's got a question. Or things go better with Coke. I would agree. Certainly better than Pepsi. That's how you start a fire. All right. Dan, thanks so much for presenting. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks for putting time into that. You can see the Coke. Bill Grierson that says you can see the Coke Express on the Deschler video railfan cam.
Oh, yeah.
At they always show the diamond interchange there. So.
And on a totally unrelated point, I don't know how many of you heard announcement this morning that CP and KCS are going to merge.
Yeah, yep. That's it puts them in parallel with Canadian National, which what I see, they've got to have a route to the Gulf. So.
Yep.
But yeah, it'll be everybody. I mean, all the places are already expecting that to go through. So. All right. Again, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Welcome back anytime to present something else. So, All right, let's see. Couple things. We got to find Tom here again. Tom has a clarification about what he just presented. So Tom, you want to unmute yourself? And
Great, thank you, Eric. A question came up regarding registration for the PCR convention. So let me do this real quick. I'm going to do a quick screen share. Let's see, where are we? Here we go. Let's see. Okay, so in the chat window, one of the questions that came up is if you're not a PCR or NMRA member, can you attend? And the answer is yes. This meeting is open to all. You do not have to be a PCR or NMRA member to register. So it's one of the benefits, and the registration is free. Plus, when you are registered, you're automatically enrolled in 3 drawings for prizes. There are a pair of $25 gift certificates and the grand prize $50 gift certificate to Central Coast Trains in Atascadero. So again, the meet is open to all. You can be a member, you don't have to be a member, but anyway, we encourage everyone to sign up.
I hope that that particular hobby shop, I think I found their site. Was it says Central Coast Hobbies or Central Coast Train?
Yes, Central Coast Trains.
Okay, hopefully because they don't really have anything on their website about what's for sale. So
right.
Given that we've got people from, well, at times we have people from all over the world, but mostly it's all over the country.
Right. Yeah, and so the gal who runs it really does a great job. She does orders for anything that the manufacturers make, she can get for you. And so anyway, so we also received quite a few donations back to the PCR when we had to cancel the in-person event. So that's how we're able to offer these gift certificates. And so anyway, she will be able to honor those certificates whether you live in the area or not. So
yeah,
thank you, Eric.
Like, yeah, their website's got a lot of photos of their stock. So my guess is if you do happen to win it, or if you don't and want to give them some business for helping out, my guess is you probably call them or email them for what you want.
Yes.
So,
yeah, the guys that are in our round robin group, they do special orders through Central Coast Trains all the time. So she does a great job over there. So anyway, thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. All right. Okay, so today we only had the one presenter. However, OpSIG has a little bit of news that we're kind of excited about. One of the things that has, well, let's just say I think it's prevented some people from joining is how you had to subscribe. You had to go find the form, then you had to fill out a PDF and send it, or print the PDF and scan it back in, send it in, and then send your money separately. No more. We now have, and again, yes, we're joining the 2000s, and we now have fully online registration and renewal. Now, this will continue to enhance over time. But for right now, I wanted to walk you through what you're going to see. Now, if you're a brand new member or somebody who is not in the OpSIG, and obviously we encourage everybody who's here, the way you support this virtual meeting is to join the OpSIG if you're not already. So if you're not a member, okay, we've been sending people to the /join page. Now this is going to be this page is a little bit different. Okay, we have all of the information up here about our pricing. Obviously, the cheapest way in is our electronic subscription, which is only $10 a year for 4 issues of the magazine, plus full access to the entire back catalog. And now you can join and get instant access in 2 steps. First, you create your profile. This is basically just name, address, password, whether to list yourself in the member directory and your email in the member directory, whether you want to get the second section email newsletter that we send out. There's a little bit of information here about areas of interest and prototype knowledge. We used to ask all sorts of information about what scale you model, but we've kind of moved a lot of that. Hold on. There we go. We've moved a lot of that over to the new Railroad directory, which I'll also show you. Just to cut down, I mean, this is not a terribly long membership form now. So pretty much you fill this out. The next step will ask you to pick your subscription type. And I'll just show you what this looks like. Picking a subscription type is the same as renewing. If we come into renew, we only allow you to renew for 3 years at a time. This is basically an accounting thing. We don't, in case we had to raise the price, it's easier just to say, well, you know, you can pay up for up to 3 years at a time. In this case, my subscription is still good. So if I wanted to renew for 2 years, I've got the option to either renew online, which we would prefer, or you can renew by mail. If you renew by mail, instead of filling out the big form, this thing will give you a stub that you can print. It has all the information of what you're signing up for, the address to send it to, and you can send this in with your check. Easy peasy. It saves our membership chair, Jeff Yost, time and having to enter it all by hand. We really want to focus on making this system self-service. Okay. Now, if you don't want to do that, if you want to pay online, which we would prefer, now you have what I basically said, pay online. It's going to take you to PayPal. You log in with your PayPal account, or you don't even have to do that. You can just say pay with a credit card. Fill in your credit card information. This doesn't make a PayPal account if you don't want one. I know people have issues with creating PayPal accounts. I've been using it for over 20 years. I've never had an issue. This basically will tell us that your payment is good. It's an immediate checkout. And then you will be a paid member of the OpSIG immediately. If you're a digital member, you'll also have, for new subscribers, you also have the option to choose your starting issue. Because of the timing of when issues come out, our issues come out in January, April, July, and October. However, we have to send the mailing list to the publisher about 45 days ahead of time. So when you first subscribe, we'll ask, do you want to have like right now, if you were to subscribe today, the current issue is January, except the April issue is already getting out. So you'll have the option to say, do I want the April issue first, January issue? Same thing with the digital subscription. But like I said, we really want to encourage people to use the online system. If you do want to send in a check, you can still register online and just say pay by mail. Now, if for some reason you still can't do any of that, we will still include the registration form in the magazine, but there will be also some wording there. One of the things about sending a check is that because it's a bunch of extra effort to go get the checks, we only deposit checks. We don't deposit checks immediately. There is a lag because those have to be processed by hand. So while it costs us a little bit to accept PayPal, it's far more efficient to simply, just fill in your credit card information. It's nice and safe. We never see the card number. The only person who sees it is PayPal. And if you're not even setting up a PayPal account, credit card number gets thrown out. We get notification of it being paid, and we're done. Easy peasy. So, like I said, that just went live this past week. We've already had a number of people signing up for it. Mark, we can chat afterwards, and but what you can do is, Mark, if you log into the OpSIG website, at the bottom of the member homepage, it will show you, let me get back out there, hold on. Let me share this so everybody can see it. Okay, so once you log in, if you go to the member homepage, you will see your subscriptions. Now, in this case, I've got a couple of extras because I made some temporary subscriptions. But generally, it's going to show this electronic subscription. If it says legacy, that was imported from the old system. Anything new will simply be listed as electronic 1, 2, or 3, print, and so on. It'll tell you exactly how many issues you have and when it expires. So that's how that works. And right now you see that the renew button is not available to me. That's because I've already got more than 12 issues available in my queue. And again, this one's goofed up because I essentially tried to renew twice. But that's because of demonstration purposes. So, all right. The last thing I want to show, oops, I keep turning off the share. Is again, we're all about self-service now. One of the things we added, instead of having to send all that information in the old call board, that basically required the former webmaster to have to put all that information in. What we've since done is built this into a self-service page, which looks an awful lot like operatingsessions.com. I understand that. But all of this is self-service. And so if we take a look out here, we can see that we can filter the list. We can say, well, just show me the HO scale ones, show me the quarter scale ones, show me just the clubs, show me the personal layouts. So this is part of the railroad directory. If we come in here and look at Ned's layout, the system allows you to enter a whole bunch of details about your railroad. You can come back here anytime and update this. Eventually, we're going to have a reminder to have you come in and update it maybe once a year. We've got a nice little photo gallery here for anybody who's added photos. So if you're early in adding your railroad and haven't added any photos, we encourage you to add those. You basically add as many as you like. So here's somebody else who's added some photos. Mark J. Herrick in Connecticut. See some really nice railroads in there. The green there. There's an article in the January, I think it's the January OpSIG issue on how to use this in a lot more detail. But basically, if you go to My Railroads, this is where you can edit your information. This is this is my railroad, such as it is. I've entered in a bunch of test data. The other thing that we added in, and this was at Bruce Morden's suggestion, we have a number of people who want to participate but don't manage their own railroad. They have somebody who takes care of the electronics for them. You now have that option. If you say, well, I do all of the web stuff for this railroad, you can list the railroad yourself and then put in the person's information in the contact. Same thing for a model railroad club. We recommend that you only have one person add the club layout and manage it. That way we don't have a bunch of duplicates. There's also places for your Facebook, YouTube, website. If you do Instagram for your railroad, which some people do, you can put all that in. So lots of information you can add. All of it's optional other than like the railroad name and the description. So again, just a nice self-service. Let's see. All right. Put on the subscription. Yeah. Per Jeff, each subscription expiration date carries through the 3 months of each released issue. So for instance, if my last issue is January 1st, then my subscription will show through March 31st. For a long time, we focused on how many issues you have left. However, because OpSIG has been reliably putting out 4 issues a year for at least 20 years, this system bases it on the date instead of the number of issues. It's easier to figure out renewals and so on. I can no longer access Model Railroad Magazine Index. If you're talking about, so even if you're not a member, so if I log out here, the issue index is out here under the dispatcher's office, and we let you see the cover, we let you see the table of contents. If you're a member, then under the member resources, you can see the entire issue. You can download the PDF and so on. But this we put out here for everybody, you know, in sort of a public forum, so you can see what was in any of the issues. Is that, Bill W., is that what you're asking about? And I'll let you unmute yourself if you need to.
No, it's not. The Model Railroad Magazine Index used to be available online for years, and it had the index of every model railroading magazine, not just RMC or MR, but it had Model Railroading, Model Railroader. It had Prototype Modeler, and it's gone. It's not there.
Who provided that?
It was through Trains Magazine. Before that, it was a private person. It was years ago. It was a private person did it.
Okay, I don't know anything about that.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask since I was on with you guys. I thought maybe somebody would know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute up.
Yeah. For John R., yes, the layout list can be filtered by location. You can filter by state, or because we've got some from some foreign countries, you can filter by country. Canadian provinces are considered so state, province, or country. Let's see. And yeah, it looks like the April issue is making it out a lot better than the January issue did. Somebody reported that they just within the last week got the January issue. So yeah, we mailed that in December. So Bruce has a link up to the something on Olympia.com magazine index. I don't know if that's looks like there's a interesting. It's very sluggish, but and it's got a copyright date of 2010, so I don't know how current that is, but Kalmbach discontinued the index several years ago. So, all right, well, that's basically all I've got today. Next, let's see. So just for scheduling purposes, 2 weeks from today is Easter. We will not be having a session that day, even though 1 year ago was when we started these on Easter on a whim. On our next scheduled session will be April 18th. Al Dowman will be presenting one of his talks that day. So watch your email for that. Don't expect anybody to. There will not be a session next or 2 weeks from today. But with that said, I'm going to stop the recording.